Wings have been proudly serving the people of this community since 1918. Service is our motto. The poor, the rich, the middle class and all are given the best of care and attention at all times. You have the privilege to select what you want. In your time of need, contact the capable, the competent, and the dependable staff of the J.W. Williams Funeral Home who is genuinely concerned with your care. At J.W. Williams Funeral Home, you are aptly served by the proprietor president, Deacon Arthur L. Parker, who continues the traditions and values set forth by the past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams. Your announcers for the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Sunday morning program are Deacon Arthur L. Parker, Reverend Isaac H. Owens, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, Minister Frankie Harmon, Ms. Sandra Johnson, and Deacon Earl Clark, Jr.
Thank you, and good morning, friends. We come to you this morning to bring announcements, dedications, and songs. We certainly hope that your day may be brighter after listening to our program. The family of Stuart Charlie Richard Henry of Byronville, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Mr. Willie Lee Kendrick of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Texana Ross Grant of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. John Lee Bembry of Vienna, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Deacon Robert Grace Jr. of Rochelle, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for the food, the flowers, the condolences, and all other expressions of sympathy and kindness shown to them during their hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. Stuart Charlie Richard Henry, age 84, of 206 Unadilla Road, Highway 230, Byronville, Georgia, died Monday, August 16, at his residence in Byronville, Georgia. The funeral service for Stuart Charlie Richard Henry, age 84, was held Sunday, August 22nd, graveside at the Pleasant Hill Baptist Church Cemetery in Byronville, Georgia. The Reverend Arnell Webern, pastor of the Davis Chapel CME Church, officiated. Survivors include his loving and devoted children, Mr. Eddie L. Henry and his wife, Mrs. Melinda Henry of Montezuma, Georgia, and Mr. Gary L. Henry of Smyrna, Georgia. His devoted and beloved grandchildren, Mrs. Tanisha Henry Kendrick and her husband, Mr. Adrian Kendrick of Locust Grove, Georgia, Miss Nakisa Morrell of Atlanta, Georgia, Mr. Chassie Henry of Montezuma, Georgia, Miss LaShanna Henry Gooch and her husband, Mr. Roderick Gooch of Warner Robins, Georgia, Mr. Jalen Henry of Warner Robins, Georgia, Mr. Devin Henry of Lawrenceville, Georgia, Mr. Gardens Henry and his wife, Mrs. Brianna Henry of Savannah, Georgia, Mr. Mia Holsley, Miss Michael Williams, and Mr. Genesis Singletary of Montezuma, Georgia. 11 beloved grandchildren, his beloved and devoted sisters, Mrs. Early Clayton and her husband, Sir Leon Clayton of Byronville, Georgia, and Mrs. Frances Mathis and her husband, Mr. Henry Mathis of Vienna, Georgia. His beloved and devoted brothers, Mr. Freddie Buckholtz and his wife, Mrs. Jackie Buckholtz of Rochelle, Georgia. The Reverend Layfield Buckholtz and his wife, Mrs. Irene Buckholtz of Unadilla, Georgia, and Mr. James Buckholtz of Jacksonville, Florida. His beloved sisters-in-law, Mrs. Martha Howard and her husband, Mr. Willie Howard of Miami, Florida, and Mrs. Susie Smith of Jacksonville, Florida. His brother-in-law, Mr. Lonnie Lester of St. Petersburg, Florida. A host of nieces, nephews, great-nieces, great-nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Stuart Charlie Richard Henry, age 84, of 206 Unadilla Road, Highway 230, Byronville, Georgia. United States Army veteran, Mr. Willie Lee Kendrick, age 63, of 1212 North 11th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, August 18th, at his residence in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service with military honors for United States Army veteran Mr. Willie Lee Kendrick was held Sunday, August 22nd, graveside at the Bethel Cemetery in Cordele, Georgia. The Reverend Charles Perry Jr. officiated. Survivors include his beloved children, Miss Uriah Putman of Macon, Georgia, Miss Kalia Kendrick of Raleigh, North Carolina, and Mr. Leonard Woodford of Washington. His beloved grandchildren, Destiny, David, and Sean. His devoted sisters, Mrs. Gail Passmore and her husband, Mr. Jimmy Passmore, and Mrs. Opal Woodson and her husband, Mr. Joshua Woodson of Cordele, Georgia. His beloved brothers, Mr. Tommy Kendrick Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Mary Kendrick of Riverdale, Georgia, and Mr. Philip Kendrick and his wife, Mrs. Denise Kendrick of Cordele, Georgia. One beloved aunt, Mrs. Arletha Rowe of Jacksonville, Florida. A god sister, Mrs. Dolores Jean Scott of Darren, Florida. A host of special nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. United States Army veteran, Mr. Willie Lee Kendrick, age 63, of 1212 North 11th Street, Cordele, Georgia. Mrs. Texana Ross Grant, age 76, of 302 West 19th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Wednesday, August 18th, at a residence in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Texana Ross Grant, age 76, was held Tuesday, August 24th, at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home Portico in Cordele, Georgia. Brother James Wise of the Kingdom Hall of Jehovah's Witnesses officiated. Survivors include her beloved and devoted husband, Mr. Willis C. Grant of Cordele, Georgia. Her beloved children, Mr. Frederick Grant of Cordele, Georgia, Mrs. Dorothy West and her husband, Mr. Anthony West of Kingsland, Georgia, Mr. Lauren Grant and his wife, Mrs. Tricia Grant of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Stephanie Mollick and her husband, Mr. Patrick Mollick of Jacksonville, Florida. 8 beloved grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, her beloved sisters, Mrs. Lily Stembridge and her husband, Mr. James Stembridge, and Mrs. Olivia Grant and her husband, Mr. Eddie Grant of Cordele, Georgia. A host of beloved nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Texana Ross Grant, age 76, of 302 West 19th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. Mr. John Lee Bimry, age 74, of 428 South 5th Street, Vienna, Georgia, died Saturday, August 21st at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. John Lee Bimry, age 74, was held Saturday, August 28th, graveside at the Vienna City Cemetery in Vienna, Georgia. His pastor, Dr. Bobby G. West, pastor of the Bethel Baptist Church, officiated. The eulogy was delivered by the Reverend Leonard Boston. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Mildred Williams Bimry of Vienna, Georgia. His beloved children, Mr. Kyle L. Williams, Miss Chastity S. Bimry, both of Vienna, Georgia. 5 beloved grandchildren, his devoted sisters, Mrs. Lena Bimry, Mrs. Vera Dean Bimry, and Miss Felicia Bimry, all of Detroit, Michigan. A beloved brother, Mr. Samuel Redding Bimry of Detroit, Michigan. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. John Lee Bimry, age 74, of 428 South 5th Street, Vienna, Georgia. United States Army veteran, Deacon Robert Grace Jr., age 84, of 021 Cemetery Road, Rochelle, Georgia, died Saturday, August 21st at the Darmany Medical Center in Fitzgerald, Georgia. The funeral service with military honors for United States Army veteran Deacon Robert Grace Jr. was held Saturday, August 28th, graveside at the Evergreen Baptist Church Cemetery in Rochelle, Georgia. The Reverend Travis Johnson, pastor of the Piney Grove Baptist Church, officiated. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Elder Mamie Lee Youngblood Grace of Rochelle, Georgia. His loving and devoted children, Deacon Robert Grace III of Rochelle, Georgia, Dr. Joanne Grace Mahone, and her husband, Deacon Gregory Mahone of Fitzgerald, Georgia, Mr. Bobby Jean Grace and his wife, Mrs. Gladys Grace of Rochelle, Georgia, Minister Connie Grace Benjamin and her husband, the Reverend Joseph L. Benjamin of Valdosta, Georgia, Mr. Ronnie Grace and Mrs. Gladys Angela Grace of Rochelle, Georgia. 12 beloved grandchildren, 12 great-grandchildren, his beloved sisters, Mrs. Peggy Moore and her husband, Mr. Willie Lee Moore of Ashburn, Georgia, and Miss Maddie Love of Rochelle, Georgia. A beloved brother, Mr. Arthur Grace of Rochelle, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many, many sorrowing friends survive. United States Army veteran, Deacon Robert Grace Sr., age 84, of 021 Cemetery Road, Rochelle, Georgia. Again, the family of Stuart Charlie Richard Henry of Byronville, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Mr. Willie Lee Kendrick of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Texana Ross Grant of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. John Lee Bimry of Vienna, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Deacon Robert Grace Jr. of Rochelle, Georgia, would like to thank their many friends for all of the many kindnesses shown to them during the hours of sorrow and bereavement during the past week. May God bless each of you is their prayer. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors serving Cordele and Vienna were in charge of each of these arrangements during the past week. Ain't pulled nothing, none of. And now, it is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcements. Mrs. Sandy Mae Cross Bryant, age 77, of 5610 Franklin Road, Vienna, Georgia, died Monday, August 23rd, at the Houston Medical Center in Warner Robins, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mrs. Dorothy Jackson and her husband Roosevelt Jackson of Jacksonville, Florida. Mr. James Bryant Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Gertrude Bryant of Vienna, Georgia. Mr. Johnny Bryant of Denmark. Mrs. Annie Lawson of Warner Robins, Georgia. Mrs. Tammy Blight and Mrs. LaShondra Woodson and her husband, Mr. Rico Woodson of Vienna, Georgia. 14 beloved grandchildren, 9 great-grandchildren, her loving and devoted sisters, Miss Ida Cross of Vienna, Georgia, Mrs. Carolyn Grecian and her husband, Mr. Quentin Grecian of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mrs. Ola Hall and her husband, Mr. Dennis Hall of Albany, Georgia. A beloved brother, Mr. Sanford Cross of Plains, Georgia. A host of nieces and nephews, many cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Sandy Mae Cross Bryant, age 77, of 5610 Franklin Road, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Sandy Mae Cross Bryant, age 77, will be held today, Sunday, August 29th, graveside at 11 a.m. at the Macedonia Baptist Church Cemetery, Drayton Community, Vienna, Georgia. The Reverend Choice Cobb Sr., pastor of the Free Providence Baptist Church and the Spring Hill Baptist Church, will officiate. Mother Atley Morgan Killings, age 87, of 5685 Franklin Road, Vienna, Georgia, died Tuesday, August 24, 2021, at her residence in Vienna, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Miss Dorothy A. Killings of Perry, Georgia, Mr. Jimmy L. Killings Jr., and Miss Virginia R. Killings, both of Miami, Florida, Miss Shirley Killings, Mr. Gary M. Killings, and Mr. Arthur L. Killings and his wife, Mrs. Carol Killings, all of Vienna, Georgia. Mr. Ronnie Killings of Bon Air, Georgia, Mrs. Linda Killings Reed of Reston, Virginia, and Mrs. Brenda F. Mumphrey and her husband, Mr. Greg Mumphrey of Vienna, Georgia. 20 7 beloved grandchildren, 40 great-grandchildren, 13 great-great-grandchildren, her beloved and devoted sisters, Mrs. Minnie Hawkins of Alliance, Ohio, Miss Melinda Morgan, Miss Maria Morgan Hall, and her husband Don Hall of Atlanta, Georgia, her beloved brother, Mr. Reginald Morgan of Germany, and Mr. Alfred Morgan of Atlanta, Georgia, a host of beloved nieces and nephews, to include a special niece, Miss Ida Ruth Bryant of Cordele, Georgia, her devoted caregiver, Mrs. Nancy Street of Cordele, Georgia, and Mrs. Regina Cooley of Bon Air, Georgia, the Kendrick Hospice staff, Felicia, Holly, and Keeley, and Mrs. Edna Cross, a host of other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mother Atley Morgan Killings, age 87, of 5485 Franklin Road, Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for Mother Adelaide Morgan Killings, age 87, will be held today, Sunday, August 29th, graveside at the Macedonia Baptist Church Cemetery, Drayton Community, Vienna, Georgia, at 2 p.m. Her beloved pastor, the Reverend Jesse Watts, pastor of the Piney Grove Baptist Church, will officiate. Mr. Jose Dante Wilcock, age 42, of Fitzgerald, Georgia, died Monday, August 23rd, at his residence in Fitzgerald, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved father, Mr. Jose Wilcock, of Willicoocher, Georgia, his beloved mother, Mrs. Joanne Tisdale Wilcock, of Rochelle, Georgia, a beloved daughter, Mr. Tyrion Wilcock of Michigan, his beloved sisters, Mrs. Pamela Pope and her husband, Mr. Terrence Pope, and Miss Sylvia Tumblin of Douglas, Georgia, and Miss Tia Polk and her husband, Mr. Hardrick Polk of Birmingham, Alabama, a beloved brother, Mr. Corey Anderson of Nashville, Georgia, his special aunts, Mrs. May Lillian Gaston of Cleveland, Ohio, and Mrs. Virginia Graham of Willicoocher, Georgia, his beloved aunts and uncles, Mr. Albert Williams of Macon, Georgia, Mr. James Wright Jr. of Detroit, Michigan, Mrs. Carol Wilcock Grace, Mrs. Carrie Bell Wright Curry, and Mrs. Pauline Wright, all of Rochelle, Georgia, Mr. Jesse Wilcock, Mr. Arthur James Wilcock, Mr. Michael Wilcock, Mr. Robert Wilcock, and his wife, Mrs. Jeanette Wilcock, all of Willicoocher, Georgia, Mr. Johnny Wilcock, and Mr. Charlie Wilcock, and his wife, Mrs. Rosa Lee Wilcock of Douglas, Georgia, Mrs. Alice Coleman of South Carolina, Mrs. May Emma Crowdy of Douglas, Georgia, Mrs. Laverne Wilson, Miss Virginia Graham, and Miss Doris Wilcock, all of Willicoocher, Georgia, his beloved nieces and nephews, a special cousin, Mr. Travis Cheese of Rochelle, Georgia, a host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Jose Dante Wilcock, age 42, of Fitzgerald, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Jose Dante Wilcock, age 42, will be held Wednesday, September 1st at 11 a.m. graveside at the Evergreen Baptist Church Cemetery in Rochelle, Georgia. Pastor Wales will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Tuesday, August 31st from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Mother Lula Parham Bullard, age 94, of 1129 Cobb Cheek Road, Cobb, Georgia, died Wednesday, August 25th, at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Raymond Bullock Jr. and his wife, Mrs. Anna Bullock, and Mrs. Linda G. Jones, both of Cobb, Georgia, Miss Virginia Bullock of Edenton, Georgia, Miss Mika Bacon, and her husband, Mr. Julius Bacon, Miss Tracy Pitts, and Miss Joy Harden, all of Americus, Georgia. A beloved daughter-in-law, Mrs. Bonnie Bullard of Vienna, Georgia. 13 beloved grandchildren, 39 great-grandchildren. Her beloved and devoted brother, Mr. Charles Parham, and his wife, Mrs. Martha Parham of Edenton, Georgia. A host of other relatives and many sorrowing friends, to include her special friend, Mr. George and Mrs. Gladys Wright of Cobb, Georgia. Survived Mother Lula Parham Bullard, age 94, of 1129 Cobb Cheek Road, Cobb, Georgia. The funeral service for Mother Lula Parham Bullard, age 94, will be held Saturday, September 4th, graveside at her beloved Pleasant Grove Baptist Church Cemetery in Cobb, Georgia. The Reverend Jesse Watts will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Friday, September 3rd, from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Mr. Kurt Kenneth Smith, age 66, of 104 North Bass Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Monday, August 23rd, at his residence in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved fiancée, Miss Angela Turner, his beloved children, Mr. Vascory M. Smith, Mr. Joseph Smith, Mr. Jonathan E. Smith, and Miss Felicia Brown. 11 beloved grandchildren, his devoted and caring sisters and brothers, Miss Clara Dixon, Miss Gilda Smith, Mr. Levitt Smith, Mrs. Lakeitha Smith, Mrs. Sanithia Smith, Mr. Harvey Smith, Mr. Gregory Smith, and Mr. Dan Smith. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends, to include the mother of his children, Mrs. Beverly D. Smith, survived Mr. Kurt Kenneth Smith, age 66, of 104 North Bass Street, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Kurt Kenneth Smith, age 66, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mr. Clarence Sims, age 72, of San Diego, California, formerly of Smithfield, Georgia, died Thursday, August 26th, at his residence in San Diego, California. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Kathy E. Sims of San Diego, California, a beloved daughter, Miss Dawn M. Bliss of Chicago, Illinois, his loving and devoted sisters, Mrs. Mary H. Sims of Cape Coral, Florida, Mrs. Annie R. Ferguson of Fort Myers, Florida, Mrs. Gwendolyn Jackson of Lowndes, Georgia, and Miss Sabrina Barnes of Atlanta, Georgia. A A beloved brother, Mr. Lawrence T. Jackson of Albany, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mr. Clarence Sims, age 72, of San Diego, California. The funeral service for Mr. Clarence Sims, age 72, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Elder Harvey A. Watkins, age 74, of 305 West 26th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, August 27th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include his loving and devoted wife, Mrs. Rosie Prather Watkins of Cordele, Georgia, his beloved children, Mrs. Marshall Watkins, Ms. Joyce Smith, Ms. Janet Watkins, Mrs. Felicia Prather Riley, Mr. Demetrius Prather, Mr. Marcellus Prather, Mrs. Rosetta Prather Williams, Mr. Joseph Prather, Mr. Troy A. Brown, Miss Anita Brown, and Miss Harry E. Brown. A host of grandchildren, great-grandchildren, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Elder Harvey A. Watkins, age 74, of 305 West 26th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Elder Harvey A. Watkins, age 74, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mrs. Gloria Jean Whitehead Pace, age 71, of 1007 South 9th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, August 27th at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. Survivors include her loving and devoted children, Mr. Spencer G. Pace of Atlanta, Georgia, and Mrs. Datrice Jones and her husband, Mr. Mallory Jones of Cordele, Georgia. Her beloved grandchildren, Mr. Reginald Smith, Ms. Jasmine Green, and her husband, Mr. Troy Green, Miss Chastity Pace, Mr. Carl Jarvis Pace, Mr. Lord Jarvis Pace, Miss Teddy Lewis, Miss Jakia Wright, and her husband, Rico Wright, and Miss Jakia Jones. 16 beloved great-grandchildren. Her beloved brother, Deacon George Whitehead Sr., and his wife, Mrs. Ann Whitehead of Cordele, Georgia. Her beloved and devoted sister, Miss Leslie Hicks, Miss Betty Ann Whitehead, and Mrs. Jackie Brown, and her husband, Elder Willie Fred Brown, all of Cordele, Georgia. A host of nieces, nephews, cousins, other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. Mrs. Gloria Jean Whitehead Pace, age 71, of 1007 South 9th Street, Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Gloria Jean Whitehead Pace, age 71, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. United States Marine Corps veteran, Mr. Marion P. Sims, age 46, of 1528 Westwood Drive, Albany, Georgia, formerly of Americus, Georgia, died Saturday, August 28th at the Phoebe Putnam Memorial Hospital, North Campus, Albany, Georgia. Survivors include his beloved wife, Mrs. Tracy Campbell Sims, his beloved children, Mr. Tyrese Miller, Mr. Christopher Thornton, Mr. Justin Brown, Miss Zoe Herbert, and Mr. Jamal Sims. His beloved and devoted parents, Mr. Frank and Miss Eula Sims, a beloved sister, Miss Mitzi Sims, a caring niece, Mrs. Alexia Tyson, a host of other relatives, and many sorrowing friends survive. United States Army, a Marine Corps veteran, Mr. Marlon P. Sims, age 46, of 1528 Westwood Drive, Albany, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Marine Corps veteran, Mr. Marlon P. Sims, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams Funeral Directors, serving Cordele and Diana, are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Friends, that conclude our funeral notices for this morning. And as always, we do remind you concerning our pre-need planning available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home, with packages available with a single pay, a 3-year pay, a 5-year pay, and a 10-year pay. So please stop by and talk with us concerning your funeral arrangements needs available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. And also whole life insurance is available at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. And we do apologize for our technical difficulties this morning, unable to show our photos this morning. So we do apologize to you. Pray that you will accept that. Now for dedications. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. In loving memory of Mr. Andrew Corbin, better known as Dagger, who would have celebrated his birthday August 14. Dedication requested by his beloved sister, Mother Vanessa Colson, the Corbin, Stembridge, and Colson family. Precious memory, linger still. In loving memory of Mr. John Williams Mathis Jr., who departed this life August 25th, dedication requested by his beloved children, grandchildren, his beloved sister, Mrs. Juanita Talbert, his brothers, Curtis, Eddie, and Tommy, the entire Mathis and Hicks families, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Jerry Lawrence, who departed this life August 26, 2009, dedication requested by his beloved brother and the entire family, gone but not forgotten. Shine and Geraldine, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mrs. Inez Neal, who would have celebrated her birthday August 26, dedication requested by her beloved daughter, Miss Gayla Bleach, and the entire family. Precious memory, linger Neal, Mrs. Inez Neal, who departed there, who would have celebrated her birthday August 28th, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Deacon Barry Davis, who departed this life August 28th, 1966. Dedication requested by Mr. John Arthur Manning, gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Minister Priscilla Elaine Hardeman, who would have celebrated her birthday Sunday, August 29th. Dedication requested by her beloved husband, Deacon Charles Hardeman, the children, grandchildren, and the entire Hardeman family. Precious memory lingers still. In loving memory of Deacon Aaron Butler, who departed this life August 29th, 1990. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mother Mary Butler. Gone but not forgotten. In loving memory of Mr. Preston Yah, who departed this life August 31st, 1980. Dedication requested by the Green and Yah family. Gone but not forgotten. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following very special anniversary wish. Happy 25th wedding anniversary to Mr. George and Mrs. Annette Felton, who will celebrate their anniversary Tuesday, August 31st. Dedication requested by their beloved daughter, Miss Kim Felton, their beloved mother, Mrs. Easter May Sanders, and the entire family. Happy 25th anniversary to Mr. George and Mrs. Annette Felton. God continue to bless your union and keep it strong. Our first selection this morning is dedicated to the following. Happy birthday to Mrs. Elaine Lester, who celebrated her birthday Monday, August 23rd. Dedication requested by the Lester family. Happy birthday to Mr. Charles Putman, who celebrated his birthday Thursday, August 26th. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mrs. Geraldine Putman, his children, grandchildren, and the entire family. Happy birthday to Mr. Johnny Davis Jr., who celebrated his birthday Thursday, August 26th. Dedication requested by his beloved children and his beloved mother. Happy birthday to Mr. Norman Fields, who celebrated his birthday Friday, August 27th. Dedication requested by the entire family. Happy birthday to Mr. Charles Harris, who celebrated his birthday Friday, August 27th. Dedication requested by the entire family. Happy birthday to Mr. Frankie Lee Collier Jr., better known as Bud, who celebrated his birthday Saturday, August 28th. Dedication requested by his beloved children and grandchildren. Happy birthday, Bud, and many more. Happy birthday to Mr. Michael James, who celebrated his birthday Saturday, August 28th. Dedication requested by the Lester family. Happy birthday to Mrs. Margaret Taylor Jordan, who is celebrating her birthday today, Sunday, August 29th. Dedication requested by Mrs. Frances Lester Gardner and family. Happy birthday to Mr. Craig Jackson Sr., who is celebrating his birthday today, Sunday, August 29th. Dedication requested by Miss Sheila, Darius, and Kayla. Happy birthday to Dr. Dan James III, who will celebrate his birthday Monday, August 3rd. Dedication requested by his beloved wife, Mrs. Elaine James, and the entire family, and the members of the Mount Zion First African Baptist Church. Our first selection for this morning.
Bless
It is certainly with the deepest regret that we make the following announcements. Mrs. Sandy May Cross Bryant, age 77, of 5610 Franklin Road, Vienna, Georgia, died Monday, August 23rd at the Houston Medical Center in Warner Robins, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Sandy May Cross Bryant, age 77, will be held today, Sunday, August 29th at 11 a.m. graveside at the Macedonia Baptist Church Cemetery, Drayton Community, Vienna, Georgia. The Reverend Charles Cobb Sr., pastor of the Free Providence Baptist Church and the Spring Hill Baptist Church, will officiate. Mother Adlai Morgan Killings, age 87, of 5485 Franklin Road, Vienna, Georgia, died Tuesday, August 24th, 2021, at her residence in Vienna, Georgia. The funeral service for Mother Adlai Morgan Killings, age 87, will be held today, Sunday, August 29th, at 2 p.m. graveside at the Macedonia Baptist Church Cemetery, Drayton Community, Vienna, Georgia. Her pastor, the Reverend Jesse Watts, pastor of the Piney Grove Baptist Church, will officiate. Mr. Jose Dante Wilcock, age 42, of Fitzgerald, Georgia, died Monday, August 23rd, at his residence in Fitzgerald, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Jose Dante Wilcock, age 42, will be held Wednesday, September 1st at 11 a.m. graveside at the Evergreen Baptist Church Cemetery in Rochelle, Georgia. The Reverend Wells will officiate. The public walk-up visitation will be Tuesday, August 31st from 1 until 5 p.m. at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home. Mother Lula Parham Bullard, age 94, of 1129 Cobb Cheek Road, Cobb, Georgia, died Wednesday, August 25th at the Phoebe Sumter Medical Center in Americus, Georgia. The funeral service for Mother Lula Parham Bullard, age 94, will be held Saturday, September 4th, graveside at her beloved Pleasant Grove Baptist Church in Cobb, Georgia. The Reverend Jesse Watts will officiate. Mr. Kurt Kenneth Smith, age 66, of 104 North Bass Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Monday, August 23rd, at his residence in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mr. Kurt Kenneth Smith, age 66, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mr. Clarence Sims, age 72, of San Diego, California, formerly of Smithville, Georgia, died Thursday, August 26th, at his residence in San Diego, California. The funeral service for Mr. Clarence Sims, age 72, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Elder Harvey A. Watkins, age 74, of 305 West 26th Avenue, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, August 27th, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Elder Harvey A. Watkins, age 74, will be announced at a later date, pending the completion of the arrangements. Mrs. Gloria Jean Whitehead Pace, age 71, of 1007 South 9th Street, Cordele, Georgia, died Friday, August 27th, at the Chris Regional Hospital in Cordele, Georgia. The funeral service for Mrs. Gloria Jean Whitehead Pace, age 71, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. United States Marine Corps veteran Mr. Marlon P. Sims, age 46, of 1528 Westwood Drive, Albany, Georgia, formerly of Americus, Georgia, died Saturday, August 28th at the Phoebe Putnam Memorial Hospital, North Campus in Albany, Georgia. The funeral service for United States Marine Corps veteran Mr. Marlon P. Sims, age 46, will be announced at a later date pending the completion of the arrangements. The J.W. Williams funeral directors serving Cordele and Vienna are in charge of each of these arrangements during this week. Our next and final selection for this morning is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones were laid to rest during the past week. The family of Stuart Charlie Richard Henry of Byronville, Georgia. The family of United States Army veteran Mr. Willie Lee Kendrick of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Texana Ross Grant of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. John Lee Bimry of Vienna, Georgia. And the family of United States Army veteran Deacon Robert Grace Jr. of Rochelle, Georgia. This selection is dedicated to the bereaved families whose loved ones will be laid to rest during this week. The family of Mrs. Sandy Mae Cross Bryant of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Mother Atley Morgan Killings of Vienna, Georgia. The family of Mr. Jose Dante Wilcock of Fitzgerald, Georgia. The family of Mother Lula Parham Bullock of Cobb, Georgia. The family of Mr. Kurt Kenneth Smith of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mr. Clarence Sims of San Diego, California, and Smithville, Georgia. The family of Elder Harvey A. Watkins of Cordele, Georgia. The family of Mrs. Gloria Jean Whitehead Pace of Cordele, Georgia. And the family of United States Marine Corps veteran Mr. Marlon P. Sims of Albany, Georgia, and Americus, Georgia. This selection is dedicated to all of the sick and shut-in, to all patients in the local and surrounding hospitals, nursing homes, and rehabilitation centers, to our beloved ministers and our devoted family members, to all retired educators, to the men and women serving in our armed forces, both stateside and abroad, to all veterans, and to everyone who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. It's a pleasure for us to bring it to you. Our program goes out in memory of our past president, Dr. Napoleon Williams, to my wife, Mrs. Calandra Wilkerson Parker, to my son, Jai Wilkerson Parker. This selection goes out to my brother, retired Chief Master Sergeant Norman F. Dexter, to his wife, Dr. Gwendolyn Maxine Dexter, and to their grandson, Noble. This selection goes out to my sister, Miss Maddie Mae Johnson, better known as Sister Girl, and Mrs. Patsy Jackson, her husband, Mr. Jim Jackson of Cordele, Georgia. Again, we apologize for our technical difficulties this morning and pray that you do understand. Our selection this morning goes out to each and every one who listens to our program on each Sunday morning. God bless you. Continue to stay safe, each and every one of you.
joining us this morning. We hope you've enjoyed our program. Tune in again on next Sunday morning. In your time of need, contact the competent, capable, and dependable staff at the J.W. Williams Funeral Home.